Hey guys, it's Jeff Farina with Pocketnow.com, and it's time to give you our final word on the HTC Wildfire. Let's go ahead and get started. We're going to first start off by telling you some of the positives of this device, some of the things that we really enjoyed. And the first one that we want to mention is going to be the price point. At a price point of only $300 for an unlocked device, you really can't beat what you're going to get here. You're going to get a relatively up-to-date Android 2.1 device that is also unlocked, so you can use it on any carrier that uses a SIM card. Now, we'll touch base a little bit later on in this video on the network compatibility, but once again, as an unlocked phone, you don't have to renew your contract when you buy this phone. Looking at some of the devices right now that AT&T and T-Mobile do sell, some of them are around $200 with a contract, whereas this device is only $300 without that contract, which, when you factor in the early termination fee, for some people might be worth it. Next up is the overall design of the HTC Wildfire. Many people have pointed out on the past videos that it's almost like a cross between a Nexus One and the HTC Desire kind of merged together. It does definitely bring some of the design aspects of the Nexus One by having the aluminum shell as well as the Teflon painted plastic on the back. Overall, the device is extremely solid, feels very solid in the hand, and you're not going to hear the device creaking or flexing as using it. It's not a cheap plastic by any means at all. You really are getting a lot here for your money on a hardware design sense. Also, because the device comes with Android 2.1 preloaded, you can likely use a lot of the available apps from the Android market. Some of the applications may not work due to the screen resolution, which I will touch on in the next few minutes, but for the most part, everything you're familiar with now, if you've already been using Android, is there for you. And if this is your first Android device, you aren't really that far behind. I mean, Froyo is out now. However, by getting on Android 2.1 right out of the gate, you are almost up to date 100%. The battery life on the HTC Wildfire was phenomenal. I was able to easily make it through an entire day of usage, and almost 2 days in some cases. It is powered by a relatively smaller 1300 milliamp hour battery. A lot of the devices now are using 1400 and up. However, because this device only has a 3.2-inch screen with a lower resolution, it's not really drawing too much power, and because of that, you're able to make it through a full day, no problems at all, which if you're on the phone a lot, answering emails a lot, browsing, playing games, this could be a good solution for you in terms of the battery life. Now getting into some of the aspects we weren't necessarily too thrilled with was, first off, the screen resolution. The 3.2-inch screen is definitely easy to use, however, the resolution being low at 320 by 240 definitely left us craving a little more. At times when you're taking pictures, you can actually see lines through your images in pixels, and the images look washed out, the colors look washed out. It's just definitely not up to the spec that you're seeing with the current screens of the AMOLED and the Super AMOLED, and even the current generation LCD screens. This is definitely a step behind there. The processor at times did seem to kind of chug along a little slower than other devices with a faster 1 GHz processor, which is to be expected. Loading some of the longer Twitter feeds in the Twitter application, as you saw in our past video, did tend to sort of jerk up and almost slow down and lag as time goes. Multitasking is fine with this device until you start to run a few, I would say about a handful of applications at once. You'll really see a slowdown there, and you'll see it almost come to a standstill. And lastly, one somewhat negative that we like to call a negative only because it affects us here, is the fact that this device is not compatible with the US 3G bands. It is only going to be using Edge, using AT&T and T-Mobile. Now, keeping that in mind, this phone was created for Europe, for the UK, that area of the world, so you really can't knock HTC there for not giving us the compatibility here, because we do use different spectrum and different frequencies. If you're looking for a device that is going to use 3G and really only use 3G most of the time, this probably won't be the device for you, unfortunately. It is a very strong device and a very good entry-level Android device. However, if 3G is on the very top of your list, this may not cut that, unfortunately. Overall, the HTC Wildfire is an extremely strong entry-level Android device. If you've been on the fence with Android and you really are questioning a large investment in order to get into the platform, the Wildfire may be for you. At only $300 at the unlocked price, it is affordable to most people. You're also going to get many of the best design aspects from HTC devices like the Nexus One and the Desire. However, if 3G is a must-have for you, unfortunately it's really not going to fit into many of your needs that way. On the other hand, if 3G isn't too critical for you and you can get by using the Wi-Fi no problem, I definitely have to recommend the Wildfire as an entry-level device. You could certainly get a little bit more mileage out of a faster and newer device, but if you're looking to stay unlocked and not pay through the teeth, the Wildfire is a great option for you. The ability to get through a full day is something that's hard to come by today, and the Wildfire was able to do that just perfectly. If you're looking to pick up an HTC Wildfire, you can do so for $300 over at clove.co.uk. As always, thank you very much for watching, everyone. I'm Jeff Freena for Pocketnow. Please give us a thumbs up and stay tuned for future videos and reviews over at Pocketnow.com.